Next, introduce you Bernoulli trials. What are Bernoulli trials? A Bernoulli trial has only two possible outcomes. Bernoulli trial is a random experiment, okay? And in this random experiment, you can see only two different outcomes, okay? For example, when you flip a coin, either you see the head or you see a tail. If you are taking an exam, also two possible outcomes. Either you pass the exam or you fail the exam. If you are having baby, either you have a baby girl or you have a baby boy. Okay? Only two possible outcomes. Either you find something big or you find something small. Okay? Now, since it has only two possible outcomes, the one you like, okay? The one you like, you call it what? Success. And the one you dislike, you call it a failure. So you can say success or failure, okay? For example, when you flip a coin, you get a head or you get a tail. Okay, the random experiment is flip a fair coin once. Okay? You let what? Only two possible outcomes. So flip a coin once. This is a Bernoulli trial. Now let's look at another random experiment. Let's look at another random experiment. Okay? Roll a die once. Roll a die once. This is not a Bernoulli trial. Why this one is not a Bernoulli trial? Because you expect to see 6 different outcomes. You expect to see spot 1, spot 2, spot 3, spot 4, spot 5, and spot 6. You're going to see 6 different outcomes, okay? So this is not a Bernoulli trial, okay? Not a Bernoulli trial. Now, next, I'm going to define a Bernoulli random variable. A Bernoulli random variable, okay? What is a Bernoulli random variable? Well, Bernoulli random variable has only 2 possible values, 0 and 1. This is probability of x, okay? Probability of x equal to 1, if this is pi. then probability x of getting 0 is 1 minus pi. Okay? Usually this is the case. X is equal to 1 if we observe a success. Okay? The success maybe is that we see a head. Okay? Now, x equal to 0 if we observe a failure. And the failure is what? A tail. Okay? Head and tail. So, look at this expression here. This is a distribution of x. When we say distribution of a variable, of a random variable, what does that mean? Need to tell people what are the possible values. And this one is how often or how likely we observe those possible values. Okay? In our example here, you say probability x equal to 0 is 1 minus pi. And probability x equal to 1 is pi. Okay? Next one. Next one. Let's talk about expected value of x. If x follow Bernoulli distribution with parameter pi, this notation means follow. If I tell you x follow Bernoulli distribution with parameter pi, that means it's P and F. X equal to 0 is 1 minus pi. X equal to 1 is pi. This is called the PNF of x. And what's PNF? PNF is an abbreviation of probability mass function. Okay? And we have a legitimate PNF of x. Okay? Now usually when we say PNF, PNF is used. It is used to show the distribution of a discrete. It is used to show distribution of a discrete random variable. And the legitimate PNF of x need to satisfy the following two conditions. First one, for all x, probability of x need to be greater equal to 0. That's the first condition you need to check. And second one, if you sum up all possible value of x, px, they should add up to 1, or you say 100%. probability to sum up to 100%, okay? Now, next one. Let's look at the expected value of x. Let's look at the expected value of x. The expected value of x, the formula, is sum of what? All possible x. X times px. So from this formula, you can say this is what? The weighted average of all possible values. Of x. But the weighted average, weighted by what? Weighted by its probability. Okay? Weighted by its probability. In our example, expected value of x, if x follow a Bernoulli random variable. Bernoulli random variable has only two possible values. One is 0 and the other one is 1. But how likely you see x equal to 0? Weighted by its probability. Probability x equal to 0. And this one times probability x equal to 1. So 0 times 1 minus pi, of course, is equal to 0. 1 times what? Times probability x equal to 1 is pi. So, if I simplify it, it's just pi. And what is pi? Pi is the probability of getting what? A success. Okay? So, expected value of a Bernoulli random variable is actually a probability, and it's the probability of getting what? A success. Now, next one. Variance of x. Variance of x, by definition, is expected value of x minus ex, the whole thing squared. Okay? Expected value of x minus ex squared. Okay? And you take expected value. A very brief one, description. We can describe variance as the expected distance squared to the center. Center is measured by me. Let me try one more time. Expected value of x tell you where the center of the x distribution. X minus ex tell you the distance squared to the center. And expected value means what? The expected distance squared. This one try to measure the expected distance squared. To the center. And here, center is measured by what? Center is measured by me, which is expected value of x. Okay? And expected is the same thing as what? You can say this is average. The average distance squared to the center, that is variance. Now, when x follow Bernoulli, let's see. Expected distance squared to the center. Now, when x is 0, the distance to the center, what's the center? Center we find is pi. When x is 0, its distance squared to the center is 0 minus pi squared. But how likely you find the distance squared to the center is pi squared? Well, it happens when x equal to 0. So weighted by this probability. Now the other one is 1 minus pi squared. Distance squared to the center is 1 minus pi squared. Okay? But how likely are you going to see this happen? Well, times its probability. X equal to 1. Okay? So let's simplify the expression. Let's simplify the expression. This becomes pi squared times what is x equal to 0? X equal to 0. X equal to 0 is 1 minus pi. X equal to 1 is pi. Okay, so here pi squared times probability x equal to 0. Pi squared times probability x equal to 0. But what is x equal to 0? X equal to 0, that change is 1 minus pi. Plus, this is 1 minus pi squared times probability x equal to 1. How likely x equal to 1? That change is pi. So let's take out the common factor. Pi times 1 minus pi. Then the first term become pi, and second term you have 1 minus pi left. Okay? Now, what do you know about pi plus 1 minus pi? It's just what? It's just 1. So this is pi times what? Times 1 minus pi. So the variance of a Bernoulli random variable, the variance of a Bernoulli random variable is a probability of success times 1 minus pi. That is the probability of what? Of failure. Okay? So it's very easy to remember the mean and the variance of a Bernoulli random variable. Okay? The mean of a Bernoulli random variable is a probability of getting a success. And what is the variance of a Bernoulli random variable? Is a product of two probabilities. One for success, one for failure. Okay?